There we go. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Drew. I wanted to follow up on that last live stream we did, where we were talking about Dr. Ammon HIllman, Dr. David HIllman. Found out a little bit more today. A little bit more came out, and what do you know? What do you know? The dude's a total fucking creep. Who would ever thunk it? All right, give me 1 second here. There we go. Thanks for being here. Give me 1 second here before I get started, and while everyone's still coming in. And real quick, if you don't know who the guy is, he's just some creep that got on a podcast, and he used to be a PhD, and he says Jesus was caught naked with this boy in the Garden of Gethsemane, and his channel's called Lady Babylon. I'm gonna start calling him Lady Kavanaugh. Remember when Brett Kavanaugh had that trial, and then his accuser was like himself in the blonde wig? Well, this motherfucker wears the blonde wig that you saw in the damn thumbnail. He really wears that shit and wears a lace dress and all this shit. He used to look normal. You see him in the bottom corner there. Fucking dude went off the rails hard. And before I get to the video talking about the court documents that prove he's a pervert. I mean, did you really need court documents to know this? Can you not look at the guy and listen to him and tell he's a pervert? I was going to kind of do that same video tonight, but it's already been out, reading the court documents. So I'll just play the video the guy made. And but I found this one. I'm not sure that other channel, it's called What Your Pastor Didn't Teach You or something like that. I think that's what it's called. Let me see. Yeah, What Your Pastor Didn't Tell You. I'll come here to this one in a minute, where he's got the full details on his firing. Because Ammon HIllman, or Dr. David HIllman, he went to the press and he spun a very different story. Made it sound like it was about stifling his freedom of speech and everything. And that wasn't the case at all. We'll get to that in 1 second here. But so I'm not that this guy here, What Your Pastor Didn't Tell You, he's made tons of videos on this guy. So I don't know if he's actually covered this one. It's not that important to the story. This is before his scandal happened in 2015. So this was a video an article written in 2008 about this guy. So you can go all the way back to 2008 and see the same behavior from this guy. So this is from Isthmus. I don't know what this is exactly. Don't care. At Halloween night, 2008, they have a story about Dr. David HIllman. Ammon. I'm going to call him David. Shout out to the chat, man. Sorry, TBE, this dude is a total bozo, and only bozos find his theory compelling. Sick Jesus haters are so fucked. 100%. That's what it is. I mean, this guy's a dipshit. He's a dipshit, liberal, college professor. A guy, literally, there's an entire channel of these people. It's called Libs of TikTok, and they're lol cows. That's what this guy literally is. And he literally has Trump derangement syndrome. Not even fucking kidding. To this day, he's so smart. That's so smart. The only guy that could decode the true meaning of the Bible, but he can't even figure out Trump's a fucking actor, and they're all actors and shit. Like level 1 truth shit. But let me get through this one quick here. So everyone must get stoned. It says and this is again before he's even at the university and everything. So he's written the books, but he's not at the university when the time this was written. Some of us wondered in geometry class how Pythagoras came up with this famous theorem regarding the relationship between the hypotenuse and the remaining two sides of a right triangle. Madison author David HIllman, that's Ammon, his name's David, has a theory about the ancient Greeks that may grate a few nerves in the classical studies world. It comes down to this. Maybe Pythagoras was smoking some. Everybody else is smoking. Everybody else is touching kids. Everybody else is doing all this crazy drugs and shit. Not him, though. It's just everybody else. Everyone, attests Hillman, was using drugs from farmers up to Marcus Aurelius, but not him, though. Everybody. Hillman's new book, The Chemical Muse, Drug Use and the Roots of Western Civilization, take a closer look at the use of drugs by the ancient Greeks and Romans. The early Greek philosophers who inspired the mental revolution that influenced the birth of democracy were the biggest drug-using lunatics of them all, attests Hillman. Seriously, they were much more like medicine men than philosophers. So not only did democracy spring up in a drug-using culture, but its roots lie in a drug-using, shamanistic, intellectual movement. I think it's perfectly safe to say, no drugs, no democracy. Uh, Tyranny of the majority, right? Great idea. But Hillman is going to attribute everything to drugs and pedophilia, basically. But Hillman says this tradition of drug use has been largely written out of history by scholars and historians, but only he knows it, right? Who have brought their own moral perspectives to the text. He says it parallels with what happened with language. Only in the last couple decades have scholars started to discuss that Aristophanes, whoever the fuck that is, I'm probably not saying it right, used some of the vulgar vernacular, a fact obscured by traditional translations. It has taken us 2,400 years to figure out the difference between a cock and a penis, says Hillman. He knows. He's going to tell you what's the difference between a cock and a penis. Ask this PhD doctor, Dr. Hillman. He's going to tell you. Everything's about dicks. So if you notice here, and even as far back as 2008, this guy's completely obsessed with dicks, drugs, all this sex shit, everything. So that's what's coming out, and that's what he sees and everything, because that's what's inside of him, right? That's the makeup of his character. Yeah. Shout out to Illumitami. You know, those words were translated 20 years ago, all into French and Italian. A Christian perspective prevented us from really talking about that kind of thing. So again, Christian bad, Christ bad, 2008, nearly 20 years ago. And this is all this guy has. Really, and I think it's funny. This guy's really bumping in the algorithm right now. You got a lot of people clout chasing his name. And I think he's going to crash and burn pretty quick. He'll always have people that ride with him. The Christ haters will continue to be there and everything. But really, he's a one-trick pony. If you look through his thumbnails and all his topics, it's really Jesus bad, this drug, whatever. There's not much depth to his variety of stuff, right? Whereas someone like Archaics, bro, he has a wide breadth of different things. He has the one Phoenix theory, but he connects it to many different things, where that channel can continue to crank out content, even though it's the same kind of person and ultimately the same kind of message, hating on Christ and stuff like that. There's just a wider breadth of, creativity and stuff behind Jason of Archaics versus this guy. Literally one trick pony. So I think he has a small window. He's still riding the Danny Jones, but I don't see this riding out for a long time, in my opinion. Thus, too, with the use of mind-altering drugs, an example of Hillman's own research is a text by whoever the fuck this guy is. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Where brave slaves are sneaking supplies to besiege Spartan soldiers. They carry with them skins of poppy mixed with honey and pounded linseed. The original text uses Greek word for poppy, which is another word for opium. But in this passage, the English version is translated as poppy seed. You don't send poppy seeds to wounded soldiers, chides Hillman. You send them opium. Honey was the preferred mixer for the foul-tasting opium. Linseed was used to make them slaves. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull something up. Well, that just reminded me of something. You go to, he's got a Reddit too. You go to his Reddit and it's the same shit. It's all talking about drugs and everything like that. The one I saw yesterday, let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, look at Cobra gypsies put venom in their eyes. Oh, who gives a fuck what a gypsy does? Oh, wow, dude, that's so deep. Fucking gypsy. Yeah, we're gonna turn to gypsies for how to fucking live. Bro, did you see what the gypsies did? Gypsies fucking shoplift 70 fucking articles of clothing under their dress at a time. And then act like they don't speak English. Where's the one, dude? And they're in here. Look at they're in here begging for debates between Ammon and Jordan Peterson, Ammon and Wes Huff. Dude, this guy would get fucking destroyed. He has nothing to stand on his theory. And as we'll see here in a minute, huge fucking uh pervert creep. Sorry, it's gonna be worth it when I find it. Basically, yeah, here it is. It's coming out because I remember seeing that one. Yeah, they talk about smoking the scorpions to get high here. This isn't the one I'm talking about, but then there's another one here. If I can't find it, but it's right under this somewhere. It's talking about how do yeah, right here, boofing info request. I'm interested in boofing scorpion venom past my sphincter. Anybody have experiences? The sensation is supposed to bring enlightenment very quickly. Please let me know. I'm also interested in the use of jenkum. It was bigger back in the day, but received disinformation campaigns so hard to get good information. That's got to be a fucking troll, right? If you really want to boof some scorpion venom, dude, don't be a pussy. Put the whole scorpion up your ass. Let him run around. Let him do his thing in there. That's the real high right there. That's what a real shaman would do. Fucking crazy shit, dude. So these are the people that are attracted to it. Like to me, it blows my mind. Like, who are these people? There's tons of people like praising it in the comments. Well, it's a guy that wants to fucking boof scorpion venom. It's a guy that puts on a wig and a dress and goes live with this guy, with another guy, in a with three guys total, in a wig and a dress, cross dressers, and it was those two old ladies we showed in the last stream we did, his ex cult members, fucking dumb bitch in a cat collar and another super old lady. These aren't like the brightest minds. These aren't the fucking Mensa people. Uh, anyway, I just wanted to show that because the output that he puts out, right? Like it resonates with me with these people that want to fucking stick a scorpion up their ass. Hillman also mentions that the 2,800-year-old mummy unearthed in China, along with a large amount of marijuana. This too was explained away by making assumptions regarding occupation. Whenever archaeologists find someone with drugs with him, says Hillman, they immediately assume he was a shaman. Even Hillman has had a run-in with modern sensibilities. He feels his references to recreational drug use by ancient peoples in his UW-Madison doctoral thesis came up against a taboo in the world of academia. I was told they just wouldn't do that sort of thing. So you see, he's a liberal. He's a victim. He's a liberal professor. Uh, they just didn't want him to talk about it, right? It was too taboo. So it wasn't that it's unscientific or unfounded or anything. It's just too shocking. But that's another thing. When you see, he said we don't know the difference between a cock and a dick, or a cock and a penis, or whatever the fuck he said. Like he's just all about like trying to push those boundaries and try to make someone uncomfortable. And he's talking to a newspaper or online website, and the first thing he's saying is cock, dick, drug. Like he's trying to push that boundary as far as he can and try to make the person kind of squirm or something. It's really cringe. It's not even like, I don't think it's as like edgelord as he thinks it is. It's fucking cringe lord. Hillman pursued his PhD in classics at UW-Madison. Oh yeah, about the victimhood mentality. That's what he said too about getting fired from St. Mary's University in Winona, Minnesota. He said, well, my play was just, they didn't like it. And I was just too like, they didn't like what I was teaching or whatever. And he completely glosses over and leaves out all the facts we will see today from the court documents. And after I get to his article, we'll go to that next. So stand by. If you got a Discord, share the video in the Discord. If you're watching this later, still share it in the Discord or share it with any of these dipshits that watch this guy. Archaics is also trying to like team up with this dude. And I think Archaics really sees now with Billy Carson and then this guy getting the push now in the algorithm. I think Archaics sees where the money is, where the money's in the Christ hate. So if you've seen, he's slowly transitioned, or not even slowly, like almost overnight transitioned into the Christ hate war against Christianity, Christian right, as he calls it. And so he wants to team with this guy, who this guy has no leg to stand on about anything, really. So I think Archaics is willing to kind of chew this guy up and then spit him out. It'd be so easy for Archaics to wreck this dude in any kind of like debate about anything. This guy has his little one theory based on a couple of small words here and there, and that's it. So I think Archaics knows he can ride this guy for a little bit, maybe get him at a meetup and get some more people there and some more money, and then just discard him when he's done. That's my theory anyway. We'll see what happens. David Hillman pursued his PhD in classics at UW-Madison. His topic was pharmacy and Roman literature, and he had the tedious task of poring over volumes of medical texts in Latin and Greek. He discovered that not only did the Greeks and Romans know a lot about herbal concoctions, including opium, there was evidence that some of these substances went beyond medical necessity. This is 2008, remember? Let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see it. Now 37 in 2008. Hillman has had difficulty finding work despite his strong references and academic record. He lives with his wife and 2 children in Madison and is already working on a second book. He declines to give details, but will say it will similarly expose some airbrushes. Let me guess, it's about dicks, drugs, cocks, fucking period blood, cum, fucking all the weird shit this guy talks about. He's obsessed, bro. It's some kind of, I mean, you see it with Aphrodite and everything. They get like really obsessed with these fluids and shit. And in this one, it's interesting. It says he has a wife and 2 children. And in 2015, when he's crying for sympathy, when he gets fired by the university, when they don't renew his contract, they do fire him from being a janitor. Then he says he's a single dad with 2 kids. So somewhere between 2008 and 2015, the marriage ended. It says that a recent book reading in the basement at a university bookstore, Hillman's enthusiasm for the subject is evident. The podium seems to be more of an obstacle than a tool. He skirts around it back and forth, confronting his audience, delivering staccato statements with raised eyebrows. Do you see? Can you believe it? Isn't it obvious? So it's the same thing as Archaics. He got the only books, these medical texts. He was the only one in the world that could look at them, right? And now he's out here just saying, like, it's obvious. We know this to be a fact. That's what Archaic said. It's the same type of grift. All these guys, all these Christ haters. An audience of about 30 has gathered, some of whom clearly know the author. Others are simply curious, perhaps avid book reading attendees, while a few more seem to think Hillman is making a plug for legalizing drugs. He isn't. Several times during his presentation, Hillman asserts, I'm only interested in the truth. His truth, though, not the truth, his truth. Asked later to comment on the current efforts against illegal drug use, he couches his comments in historic context. The modern anti-drug campaign is not a democratic movement at all. The ancient world didn't have a Nancy Reagan. It didn't wage $1 billion drug war. It didn't imprison people who use drugs. It didn't embrace sobriety as a virtue. No, motherfucker, you don't embrace these things. Hillman is hardly a rebel looking for ways to justify illegal drug use. He didn't go through his own phase of tie-dyes and chemical experimentation. You cannot find one person in my past, not one, who can tell you I was a drug user. Now, this is 2008. It may have changed by now. The guy's clearly on fucking drugs. I mean, if you can't tell that, that says a lot more about you than anything else. The guy's fucking twacked out of his fucking mind. His critique goes beyond probing the use of drugs by ancient civilizations to asking questions about democracy itself. The Greeks, the guys who sat down and figured out democracy, didn't care about drugs and homosexualities and abortion and all the social issues that we are so caught up in. But they did care about keeping the wealthy from controlling democracy, keeping tyrants from creating wars for no reason. They cared about driving out the sycophants and professional politicians. But yet he hates Trump. Again, this is a very old article. He could have changed his stance. Born in Tucson, Hillman grew up amid the passion of religion. His father was a devout Baptist, just like who? Say it with me. And his grandfather was a Baptist minister. When David was 17, he was teaching Sunday school and preaching at a mission. So what Tartarian Truth said in one of the comments about these people is that all these people are still in the rebel against their parents stage, and that's why they push back against religion, because they're raised in the church, and this is how they rebel. And I think That's a very astute statement. I totally believe that. When you see these guys, there was a guy, hopefully I can get to it tonight, is EBT posted a video and it was about a guy telling Wes Huff and all these guys to debate Hillman. And the guy said he was in the church for 40 years. And so after 40 years, he saw Hillman and was like, "Wow, bro, I got to change my whole fucking view on like, whoa." I mean, that's how fucking, you know, uh, they just float with the wind to the next thing. Crazy to me. Hopefully I can get to that one. But the guy looked like a total dipshit. 40 years and he's still rebelling against his parents now. It's like a 50-something-year-old man. I was studying Greek and Latin at that point. He says I was already interested. I was able to pick up enough Kion, whatever, however you say it, biblical Greek to do it. Hillman went on to complete an undergraduate degree in the classics at the University of Arizona, then spent 3 months at the Dallas Theological Seminary. Unfortunately, the exposure to Greek was also exposing me to Aristotle and other classical authors who started punching holes in the Bible, big ones I couldn't avoid with any intellectual honesty. Yeah, because that's what he's all about, intellectual honesty. I became an apostate. After losing his religion, Hillman went on to become bored with having just one expertise and began working on a master's in animal science. But the ancient world would not let him go. A classics professor pointed out there were all these medical texts that no one had ever studied. See? There were all these books inside the Texas prison system that only I had access to. This guy has all these medical texts. No one but him, at least not in detail or with the unique combination of academic backgrounds. Hillman came to the UW-Madison to study with a professor who specialized in medical history. He worked simultaneously on master's degrees in bacteriology, I'm not saying that right, and classics. When he decided to pursue his PhD in classics, he brought both backgrounds to bear on the subject matter. There are volumes of medical texts that have never been translated, and a lot of it's about drugs. Everything he reads is about drugs. Isn't that crazy? What a coincidence. Books from thousands of years ago and then books from today, they're really all about drugs. E.T. the movie is all about drugs, dude. E.T. phone home. Home was his fucking drug dealer. He needed that bag. At his home on Madison South Side, Hillman displays a 22-volume collection of Galen, a second-century physician who represents the pinnacle of the Greek medical tradition began by Hippocrates. The only a fraction of it has ever been put into English, enough to fill 3 trade paperbacks. Passages show Galen prescribed opium to Marcus Aurelius for his headaches, and that over time the strength of his prescription gradually increased. The quote-unquote prescription gradually increased. Hillman also uncovered examples of virgins being given a mild narcotic on their wedding nights. He argues that the typical classicist, on whom the rest of us rely for English translations, don't read or can't understand these texts. He's obsessed with virgins, the play that he did that got him fired from the school, according to him, or the play that he was writing and part of was Medea. And then the subtitle of it was called A Virgin's Voice. We're going to see he's obsessed with virgins. We're going to see that in a minute. There's an entire work regarding drugs used for gynecology, he says. Do you think a classicist knows the difference between a drug that's meant to close the cervix and why that's important, and a drug that's meant to open it and why that's important for, say, a prostitute? No, this is literally all this guy talks about. The only thing that comes out of his mouth is filth about cock, drugs, cervixes, period blood. Fucking insane, bro. Academic resistance to claims about ancient drug use outside of medical practice are not new. Carl Ruck, a tenured classical studies professor at Boston University, endures what he calls official silence over similar claims. In 1978, when Ruck collaborated with the late Albert Hoffman, the discoverer of LSD, and R. Gordon Wasson, a mycologist, that's mushrooms, right? To write The Road to Elysius, unveiling the secrets of the mysteries, the idea that an important Greek ritual and secret involved ingestion of psychoactive chemical potion was extremely controversial. Classical antiquity is a construction of modern scholarship, says Ruck. We made them into something they really weren't. Scholarship has chipped away at it. Suddenly, after the feminist movement, people became aware that women had a strange role in ancient society. There are frescoes showing people having opium parties. Classicists don't want to admit Greeks had this kind of experience. The idea of mind-altering substances outside of alcohol has a social stigma, says Ruck. Bush abused drugs, but we don't want to talk about it. Ruck began with an interest in Dionysus, the god of wine and intoxication, as well as ritual madness and ecstasy. On that video we showed with him and the two other guys in the wigs and dresses, that's what they were saying. Jesus is a copy of Dionysus. According to Plato, when Socrates went trying to find someone wiser than himself, he went to the writers of the tragedies, and they knew less than anyone else what their plays meant. That's funny. Ruck looked for deeper meanings and metaphor patterns and wondered if wine was one of the ways of freeing the psyche. He began to suspect that the Elysian, I don't know how to say that, Elysian mysteries were more than about just wine. It is well known that you drank something, says Ruck. We have the formula of what they drank. That wasn't prohibited. The exact formula was intricate and not well known to regular people. They drank and they saw something. Such ideas haven't sparked outrage. Rather, they've occasioned silence. There's no great dialogue going on, says Ruck. People don't come up to me and try to refute what I'm saying. They just don't mention it. Ruck says he published a book that will be available for free online in a month. Ruck sent a link to his colleagues on the East Coast. No one contacted him. He published an article in New England Journal regarding drug initiation ceremony in pre-Christian Rome. It was peer-reviewed, yet no one ever talked to him about it. Who is his peer? HIllman? Oh, yeah, drugs, dude. Totally drugs, bro. HIllman is also looking for someone to challenge him. Who am I? I'm nobody. I'm not important. I just happened along and stepped into this. The Chemical Muse, Drug Use and Roots in Western Civilization is published by Thomas Dunn Books, an imprint of St. Martin's Press, one of the nation's largest publishers. HIllman's decision to go with the trade press means his book will likely reach a larger audience, but was not subject to peer review, a vetting process that adds respectability. The intention here was to make this argument to a larger population. It's not totally certain you would ever have heard of it if it was published by an academic press. Hold on, I'm gonna send my wife this link here real quick and see if she wants to talk shit about this guy. Give me 1 second here. Joseph says HIllman has already gotten some feedback from the academic community. David has heard from a few other people asking him to review their Latin translations or to ask him for more information on a particular aspect of the book. HIllman sees his work as having the potential to erode hurtful stereotypes. Today, the drug user is the last homosexual, he says, referring to the degree of social stigma. You can write anything you want about homosexuality. The Greeks didn't write about it or have a word for it. But you write about a drug user and that changes everything. Yet there is no word in Greek for junkie. Well, his whole claim is that in the Greek, there's 250,000 words for meaning different things versus whatever it is in Hebrew, like way less, 4,000, whatever the fuck. I'm probably wrong on that, but they don't have a word for junkie, dude. But yet you can extrapolate their words for this means fucking adrenochrome, basically. Come on, dude. He finds the notion appealing. Imagine living in a world without terms like homosexuals and junkies. Don't call me gay. Don't call me a druggie, he says. A world where people worship reason, justice, and ecstasy. The people of Athens don't care if you got high. They focused on keeping aristocrats from hijacking the democracy they invented. The prohibitionists lived in Sparta, where tyranny was the rule. Damn, this is long. He says Romans engaged in recreational drug use, blah, blah, blah. His dissertation was nearly finished before he detected the problem. I'd written about 90%, and one chapter was on recreational drugs, he says. My advisor was very disappointed with the chapter. She wanted me to remove the chapter before it went to committee, and I couldn't understand why. Again, it's just him being put under pressure by the school. It's not that it's academically inaccurate or anything else. It's just, oh, well, they're picking on me, basically. That's his whole fucking song and dance. HIllman says Rosenmeyer failed to persuade him. She told me her reasons, and I told her I thought that because the evidence was so obvious that I had to go ahead and submit it. So against her wishes, I submitted the chapter, and that's the one that got me in trouble. Rosenmeyer, who says HIllman, a serious scholar and a good TA, teacher's assistant, tells the story differently. She says she never objected to the chapter, but merely tried to finesse the situation after objections were raised by another committee member. According to Rosenmeyer, Hillman knew he was challenging the Ovid expert by claiming the Roman poet had used drugs as part of his inspiration. So she says this is not true, and he is a liar. We will see that in the video here. I'm almost there, I promise. This article looks like it's almost done. We got 59 people in the chat. If you guys could hit that thumbs up, I would appreciate that. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, get chalked up. I don't want to feed the beast of YouTube any money, but if you do appreciate any of this content, small contribution is always appreciated. I have tons of kids and they're hungry. Traditionally, PhD candidates defend their dissertations in front of a committee of professors, one of whom is an outside professor, to assure accountability and provide neutral perspectives. After the defense, the committee confers and reaches a decision. An approval means that all committee members sign a warrant. The candidate returns to the room. The committee congratulates the new doctor with a handshake. The successful candidate attaches the warrant to the thesis and walks it to the graduate school, no doubt with a lighter step. In 2004, when Hillman defended his dissertation, he says that for 2 hours he answered questions almost exclusively about the chapter on recreational drug use. They didn't say anything about the rest of the dissertation, he says. The committee adjourned for 30 minutes, after which Hillman says he was called back for more questions, all about the recreational drug chapter. After approximately 45 minutes, they just stood up and walked out without saying a word. I couldn't believe it. Afterward, Hillman said he was told he had to remove the chapter on recreational drugs and any reference to it in order for the committee to sign the degree warrant. He was asked if he had a problem with that. The problem, says Rosenmeyer, is that Hillman's evidence in the chapter was based on literature, not scientific treatise. I know that we did ask him to define or further bolster some of the things he was arguing. So we wanted to clear evidence with more evidence. So read that again here. Rosenmeyer is the one helping him. He says Rosenmeyer is objecting to it before he even submits it. Rosenmeyer says that's not true. I tried to help him through this step because I knew there was going to be a problem. Rosenmeyer here now says Hillman's evidence that everything's about drugs was in that chapter was based on literature. But Rosenmeyer doesn't recall any request to move something completely because of its content. It was controversial, but it wasn't remove this or we won't give you your PhD. She remembers it as an agreed to disagree situation. So this guy's totally lying. He's even lying here back in 2008. Thomas Broman, a history of science professor who served as the committee's independent member, remembers the sticking point of recreational drug use, the objection by the committee, one member in particular, and that the request to remove material, that was certainly the instruction delivered to him. Whether in fact that's what happened, I don't know because I never saw the final deposited version of the dissertation. Rosenmeyer initially told Ithmus the dissertation was approved as Hillman had submitted it, including the chapter on recreational drugs. As proof, she offered a spiral-bound copy. This is the final approved version. This is what was deposited at the library, and it's copyrighted. Not true. The final copy of Hillman's dissertation, kept in the basement of the Memorial Library, does in fact have the chapter removed. Confronted with this discrepancy, Rosenmeyer says she doesn't remember what she signed 4 years ago and had thus mistakenly produced the wrong copy. Dude, I'm telling you, these liberal college professors are fucking nuts, dude. One of the biggest problems in the last like 20 years, probably more than that, even since the hippies, I guess, right? So we got to go back like 50 years. Expand your mind, free love hippies becoming college professors. And look where we're at now. Professor Broman says he shared the concern about Hillman's use of the term recreational. What you are importing into that claim is a sensibility of what we think of as a recreational drug use, and you're pasting it onto the mentality of people who are living in a very different society. Committee member Carol Newlands, who holds a joint PhD in comparative literature and medieval studies from University of California, Berkeley, shares these concerns. When Hillman submitted the dissertation with the chapter on Ovid, she says, it just didn't seem to have the requisite evidence for the case he was making for drug use in Ovid's poetic inspiration. But Hillman insists the committee's objections were based on moral, not scholarly grounds. If we talk about insufficient evidence, then there must have been some evidence for recreational drug use, which they all agreed. They threw everything out, and that's why they had to remove all references to recreational drugs, even from the rest of the dissertation. So that was back in 2008. This guy was being a huge fucking liar, obsessed with cocks, dicks, cum. What's the difference between a cock and penis? Ask Dr. David Hillman. You know him as Ammon. Shout out to the chat. I haven't really been looking. We got any? What is to the chat real quick? I got a question. What does he call like Archaics calls his people the errands? Does he have some cringe lord name for his like fans or whatever, his followers? Smiley says, Drew, you need to put your links in the description and have links in the chat. Well, here. ChalkBodyOutline.com. Get chalked up. Follow me on YouTube at ChalkBodyOutline. This is my panel channel. I'm going to drop the link if you guys want to talk about this. But let's get through what you're all here to see. The full details on Ammon HIllman's creepy full details on Ammon HIllman firing. Creepy. What your pastor didn't tell you. This guy's got quite a few videos on Ammon. He calls himself Dollar Store Wes Huff. I call him Dollar Store Joshua Fluke. If you know who Joshua Fluke is from YouTube, looks just like him. So I guess let's blast through this. And if anyone wants to talk about it, I did post a link in the Discord if any of those guys want to come up first. And my wife, if you guys want to come up, and I will post the link in the general chat here, probably after this video or maybe halfway through this video.
Hello, everyone. This is what your pastor didn't tell you. Today, we're talking about why Ammon HIllman, this person right here, why he got fired from his old university. So, lots of people want to say, oh, you know, he got fired because of opening portals or because of free speech. And that's
the claims he makes when he went to the media. He says he was opening demonic portals and the Catholic Church investigated him. Obviously bullshit.
Some newspapers, that's what some letters from articles on the internet said. That's what he says himself. Oftentimes, it's really interesting that sometimes when he'll talk about it, he's actually quite vague about what he actually got fired. He heavily implies that's why he got fired. It's really interesting that he doesn't explicitly say that's why he got fired. And
it's the same tactic used by who? Billy Carson. We saw him talking when he was talking about why he got arrested and his criminal past. He's very vague about it. And he never explicitly says, like, this mugshot they put is a real mugshot. And I fucked up, and this is what happened. He doesn't say that. He says, this mugshot you see online is from my IMDb. I was making a documentary about my life. He never says it's not a real mugshot, but he makes it sound like it's from a movie and shit. Same type of shit. You see, all these guys have this same shit. So I'm just coming to the conclusion that the people that hate accountability, these are the same people that hate Christ.
Some interviews, at least. Other times, he's more clear. Today, we're going to talk about why actually he got fired. And really, to shortly sum it up here, he got fired for sexual misconduct. No doubt about it. Maybe he got fired for...
No doubt about it. Bam.
A combination of things. Maybe the proper or all this other stuff. Maybe that played a part. But no, like, at the very end of the day, there was some serious things that he did wrong. He did sexual misconduct. There's pretty much no doubt about it. Multiple women and even a...
There is no doubt about it when you hear it.
Man attested to it. And guess what?
Women and men attest to it, he said.
Ammon admitted it in email. He admitted to stalking. Not only that, but we actually have court documents that share all of this with us. The testimonies of these people. So let's get into that today. So the next portion that we're going to talk about.
And before, I've done this for a while and talk shit about these people, and you get the same comments from the sycophant fans. So one of these people will come into the chat here. They're going to say, hey, you're doing a hit piece. Or this guy here, they're going to tell him in his comments, you're doing a hit piece on them. And well, that's not true, right? Because when I did the video where I got Santos Bonacci's court documents, that actually exonerated him, right? When you get the court documents, you can get the closest you can get to the true story, I would say, because these people are You can't count on them to tell the truth.
About is also part of the court documents, and it basically explains why Ammon HIllman was actually fired. It wasn't all this other stuff that he essentially lied or seems to lie about. It wasn't all this stuff that he told the reporters. It wasn't all this stuff about free speech or supposedly inappropriate, props or portals. No, this is actually why he got fired. And it should be pretty obvious after you're reading it, considering what he actually did. So
now the props, I mean, if you didn't see it, the last stream, he made like a prop dildo for the play. And he's at a Catholic school, mind you, and was having the actors point the dildos at the audience and shame them and stuff like that. And that's why he says he was fired. Well, that may be a small part of it. You're at a Catholic school, dude. You got to know your audience, right? Regardless, you want to be accurate or whatever, regardless of any of that shit. So that may have been a small part of it. But once you see this stuff, you're going to see that the overwhelming evidence that he was being a fucking perverted creep.
So it reads, on Saturday, November 21st, 2015, Stephanie Lucas Waverly, St. Mary Steen of students, received an email from a university professor.
All right, let's speed it up, dude. Let's go. I'm going to speed you up just a little bit.
Informing her of a sexual harassment incident between a student and an undisclosed faculty member. I wonder if you can guess who that is. On November 23rd, Dean Waverly asked the email sender for additional information and was told that a student had approached another professor very shaken about an incident with HIllman. Waverly then communicated with SS to schedule a meeting to investigate the incident. On November 30th, Waverly met with SS. During the meeting, SS said that she approached a faculty member to share information because she felt really uncomfortable. She reported to Waverly that during a Medea rehearsal in mid-October, HIllman told her that her face could change very easily so that she could attract men or women.
Huh?
Weird thing to say to a student. HIllman then asked SS.
What a fucking weird ass thing to say. You're talking about he's a grown man talking to a 19-year-old or something like that.
About her sex life with another cast member. Also a weird thing to say to a student. SS was uncomfortable and did not know how to respond. I also wouldn't either, because that's really weird.
Speaking of weirdos, what's up, Stephen David?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. How are you?
Good. I to be quite honest, I don't know much about this guy, but I wanted to hang out for a minute and at least if you give me it's really hard to figure out who the fuck this guy is. If you give like a TLDR to catch me up.
Yeah, no problem. I should have done that first in case these other people don't know. So basically, this dude blew up. His channel's called Lady Babylon, and he blew up from the Danny Jones podcast. It has like 1.5 million views, or maybe pushing 2 million views at this point. And his theory is that Jesus, me and EBT came up with it's not ancient aliens, it's ancient adrenochrome. Jesus was trafficking children for drugs. And what he does is he just uses these like the same shit like Jordan Maxwell and all these guys. He uses the word fallacy concepts and shit, and just kind of like, so he's the only authority that knows only these medical terms in this style of Greek, and he applies them to
Koine Greek, right? He tries to do that. Yeah.
And he applies that to the Bible, like, so then Jesus
fucking
is
idiot. So this is the part that irritates me is this reminds me of the orphan trains bullshit psyop too.
Yeah, dude. It's the same shit. You just make shit up, and dipshits are like, wow.
Exactly. That was immediately what came to mind when I was hearing this. I didn't know anything about this motherfucker, but like the moment I heard you talking about like all the shit about him, I'm like, this sounds like just another rebaked version of all the other conspiracy stuff we dunked on before.
Yeah, I mean it's literally the same shit. When you look at the personality type and compare him to the other people, it's the same personality type. It's like he's on the last stream with EVT, he summed it up so perfectly. I put the TLDR timestamp, and he said that these types of people, they'll do anything to justify their degenerate behavior and to hate on Christ.
Exactly.
That's all
exactly
it is.
The point.
You can't condense it more than that.
I can condense it a little bit more, but not much because that was A+. Basically, everybody depends on the Christian faith to have their own faith. And that is exactly the reason I'm going to kick out the leg of every one of their fucking chairs that they have this faith on. Because if you want to fucking bash on the Christians, but then also lean on some of the theology that we have established for you, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, that's all they do. Why don't? Yeah, they. I don't get what I don't get is the channel's getting pretty big. It's at about 40,000 now.
Really?
Yeah, and growing. Like it's big in the
Jesus
algorithm right
Christ.
now. But what I don't get is these are the same people that say the Bible's not real and it's to control you.
Right.
And now when this guy says the Bible proves Jesus is like trafficking children, now all of a sudden the Bible's real.
Right. Yeah, they want to hold validity to the Bible, even though they don't. All these fucking retards refer to the most 66 King James version of all this stuff. They don't even know the fucking Catholic Bible and the Orthodox Bible both have more books than these retards. Every single time they misquote stuff, they don't even have context for any of it. And then they refer to the heretical Bible, like King James, all that retard shit.
Oh, dude, I gotta play you the fucking. Did you? I don't know. You might have seen it. I put it in the Discord. Was the Archaics talking about Saint Irenaeus? Did you see that?
I saw you post it. I didn't watch it. Just
Oh,
I
bro,
can't
it's so. He's like, Irenaeus, Irenaeus. I don't know how to say it, and I don't care. He's like, he said, Jesus didn't die on the cross, and then he's just like dead stares into the camera, like.
As if that's like some
Like
sort
that's
of
some gotcha.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's fucking. He's so dumb, bro. He's so dumb. He doesn't even know he's fucking dumb on some of the shit.
He's trying to sweep up the fact that everybody remembers his little fucking toy video. Like we don't remember that shit.
Right, but this guy's the same guy. They just and the fans. To me, it's more about the people. As I've always said the same thing, right? Like this guy kind of has a right to say whatever he wants, but even when you get into this, if we go to his page real quick, I'll continue with this video here in a second. Hold on a second. Let me go to.
Yeah.
If you just look at his thumbnails, bro, he has the nastiest thumbnails. They're just like that drain aesthetic kind of, but it's like all blaspheming Christ. If you look at them all, it's fucking.
Right. It's like if you actually had something of your own to stand on, you wouldn't rely on the Christian faith. Every single time, all of these people, their only stance is being anti-Christian. They don't have anything of originality. They're just anti-something. Be pro literally anything. Like I can actually get behind you being something positive, whatever. All these people do the same fucking trope of like, oh, my Jesuits, my fucking Catholics, my fucking Orthodox, my fucking Christians. It's so stupid.
Divine trafficking.
Yes, exactly.
Not what you think.
I'm pretty sure this is actually the same guy that plays Bill Burr, right? Is this not fucking Bill Burr, the comedian?
So
it might as well be a dollar
I've
store.
Got some great material for you.
Listen to this fucking.
I want to say thank you for your time before we start tonight.
Thank you for your time.
It's Friday night hoo-ha. This is gorgeous. This is
He's
better
trying
than
to
Muse.
channel that cooking energy being in his kitchen there. Why does he have fucking pictures and books right next to his goddamn kitchen?
He has a bookshelf in his fucking kitchen.
That's gonna get mold, sir.
Because he's in a tiny ass little trap apartment. Because he has no friends and no life. Because he's a fucking weird line pushing motherfucker.
My studio apartment optics.
Right, but he's got to have the books in there like every good YouTuber. You got to prove you're smart and have books behind you. Otherwise, you're a dipshit. Fucking guy. Let me go back and play this. These court documents.
Also, you should check on your donos and shit too, because I'm sure people have
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let this play for just a couple minutes, and I'm gonna get a water and go check that. I don't even have my phone by me, but I'll be right back. I'm gonna let this ride for a minute.
Let it run.
Hillman then made comments about SS's neck and told her that she could be a model. Hillman then made comments about SS's neck and told her she could be a model for sculptures. That's another odd thing to say to someone. The way Hillman then looked at SS, gradually looking down, made SS uncomfortable. SS then said that Hillman said things like, "God damn, you are trying to make me fall in love with you." Then telling her he knew she was not a whore. Man, look, the list just keeps on going, okay? He said a lot of odd things to this person. At another play rehearsal later in October, SS said that Hillman asked cast members to whip him with a riding crop. Hillman had also come to her dorm room multiple times over autumn break in October. Hillman, one of the play directors, had also come to her dorm room multiple times over autumn break in October. SS informed Waverly that all of these things did not make SS feel very safe because Hillman worked in maintenance and had access to her building and knew where she lived. So Ammon is not only helping direct the play, but he is also a janitor at the time. He's saying all these really weird things to her. And not only that, but he has access to all the different, dorms on campus. And he comes to her dorm room multiple times over autumn break in October. SS informed Waverly that all of these things did not make SS feel very safe because Hillman worked in maintenance and had access to her building and knew where she lived.
Bam. There's the biggest part that I think a lot of these people might. This guy touches on it, but I don't think he goes hard enough on it. He was the professor, and then he got also a job as the janitor because he said the professor didn't pay enough. And as the janitor, he has access to all these dorm rooms and everything. So
that's so fucking creepy,
right? So
like
that's
okay,
like an invitation for him to set cameras or whatever.
Position to be a janitor. What the fuck sort of narrative is he trying to build? Like, he's not doing any favors for himself.
So he's got keys to like all these dorm rooms and all this shit, bro. That's like a fucking huge red flag when you see the rest of the shit. I did want to thank. I grabbed my phone. I see a few super chats here real quick. Let me just shout these people out. I got Mr. Provo Kid. Make sure you go follow him. It's not Provo Kid anymore. It is Provo, the fastest growing tarot channel on YouTube. Provo, thank you for that donation. And in my Cash App here, that was through Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. Get chalked up on all of them. Stephen David, I appreciate your donation here. Merry Christmas, he says, and Merry Christmas to you too and your family. Kang Gang, longtime supporter of the channel. Appreciate you as always. And that's it right now. Okay, I thought there was one more, but if I missed you or something, hold on. I'll check it again in a minute. Let me keep going on this.
SS identified 4 other students that may also be uncomfortable with Hillman, including SL, DM, WR, and NA. On December 1st, 2015, Waverly met with students SL and DM. SL stated that she believed Hillman made the Medea play much more sexual than it needed to be. She decided not to pursue a theater major. She had a theater scholarship. Like, that's why she was there. And she decided not to do it because of the play and the theater department. One day, as she left a class, Hillman asked her to sit with him on a bench in the hallway. So Hillman says, "Sit with me on this bench." He then asked her to sing part of a song from the Medea play for him. So I guess that could make sense. Like, maybe he, I don't know, wanted to hear her sing because that's part of the play, right? Maybe practice. And she felt compelled to sing and said it felt strange just sitting there on a bench in the hall singing to Hillman. After she finished, Hillman told her that she was the rabbit. She then told him she had to go. At the next play rehearsal, Hillman pointed right at SL and said she was the rabbit and that we are the wolves, and that Hillman was going to come after her. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds really weird to say that someone's going to come after you and that someone is a wolf. Naturally.
So these parents spend all this money and so they send their kids to some Catholic school and think they're going to be safe. And then they got this fucking guy fucking creeping on them, saying this shit. And also, not only is he a professor, he's maintenance and got the keys.
SL felt very unsafe, especially because she had been singled out. She did not walk alone anymore, especially to her dorm. In a separate meeting with Waverly, so of course Waverly is the dean of students, and then this SL person is a separate person from the SS person. So this is a separate girl, okay? So this is not one, but two people so far that said they felt very, very, very uncomfortable, and Ammon's doing all these odd things with. In a separate meeting with Waverly, DM denied that HIllman made her uncomfortable, though she described the rehearsal involving whipping HIllman. So apparently HIllman was having them whip him. So that's another very odd thing.
Yeah, along with the phalluses in the play, he had like a horse whip or something, and he was having different students whip him during the rehearsals. And what he was saying was to show them, like, see, it won't hurt. Just come here. Why don't you take a turn? Like, come on. And
just get whipped a few times. It's fine.
This dude's a total fucking degenerate.
But I don't know. Conceivably, that has something to do with the play. Still very, very odd. But if you remember in the top right paragraph here, SS identified 4 other students that may also be uncomfortable with HIllman. So she's like, hey, these other people might also be uncomfortable with HIllman. So the SL, we talked about her. DM is the one that said that, oh, okay, so she denied that HIllman made her uncomfortable. So on December 4th, 2015, Waverly met with NA. And consistent with SS's report, NA said that HIllman showed up at her dorm room multiple times in one day during autumn break. So that is 2 people that he's showing up to dorm rooms with. That's a little odd. On another occasion,
yeah, he's like, oh, I got to fix the door. Oh, I forgot my tools. I'll be right back. Oh, I got to go get this part. I'll be right back.
Right. The
probably trying to catch him alone or something. You know what I mean?
The amount of creeper excuses being like a maintenance guy going from what he was, like, it's so suspect. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah, and this is 2015, so this is when he looked like how he looks. If you can, let me put it up on the bottom left here. That was how he looked back when he was the professor on the left. And so, I mean, not as crazy as he looks now with the tattoos all over his face and shit, but this guy's creeping on your student that you sent to a Catholic school. Fucking weirdo.
To be fair, everybody on that fucking thumbnail looks like a weirdo.
Well, they're all him,
we're clear,
except for Illumitami, but that's him in that.
No,
that's him in that wig,
no.
dude. Hey, that's him in that wig.
Yeah. Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, watch. Hold on. He fucking straight up streams like this, bro. I'm not even kidding.
That's fucking weird.
Look at this shit.
I mean, it makes sense because he's bold as shit, so he has no problem with a wig, but Jesus Christ.
Shit. He doesn't give a fuck, bro. This is him. He's Lady Babylon. That's like his...
Jesus.
David is his dead name. I'm calling him David. That's his dead name. Look at him.
Lord of the Rings fans are so stoked right now.
Yeah, look. And then he has other guys come on dressed like this. These are men.
Oh, my God. What the fuck?
These are the dipshits. When you wonder who believes in this and who thinks this is real, it's these motherfuckers. These guys right here
should face a wall right now. Like,
so
this is horrible.
If you think this shit is intellectual and like this is like groundbreaking shit and mind-blowing shit, you're these people. You may not dress like this and you're this dumb as these motherfuckers right here.
That's wild.
Is that not fucking insane? And people are citing this guy like he's legitimate and shit. Fucking insane, dude.
This is their version of trying to like troll the YouTube area, right? And yet they're just revealing how insane and unhinged they are. This is not acceptable.
Apparently this part right here is he makes them do like an initiation where they have to wear the platinum blonde wig and negligee or something, and that it's part of an initiation to go further into
at least it's not as bad as the Skull and Bones initiation where you got to lay in the casket and get expletived.
Yeah, here's the one EBT posted tonight was this total dipshit right here. His name's Big Z. Wes Huff, Kip Davis, Dan McClellan. Time to man up and debate Ammon HIllman. They keep saying that, just like Archaics. Like, debate him. You got to debate him. What is there to debate, dude? I don't get it.
This is the equivalent to the Nasara Jasara era. Like everybody wants
it's like
to
the
swear
modern
that they have like the crypto or Nasara Jasara era, all this stupid shit. It happens every few months.
Yeah, look at this dipshit.
Hey everybody, Big Z. Hope everyone's doing good. Got some weather coming in, so I'll try to make this quick. I think it's going to rain here shortly. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, that's Ponce Inlet, Florida. Behind me, Daytona to the north, and New Smyrna to the south. And everyone says they like the backdrop, so I try to shoot these videos out here. I want to make comment about a couple things. I did a video last week. I didn't post it yet on TD Fakes and his Oscar-winning performance of his heart attack, stroke, whatever.
Never trust a motherfucker with a lisp.
There at his church service because the heat's coming down on him.
Come on, asshole. Talk about it. It's just hemming and hawing about shit. He just looks like a fucking dipshit. And now my internet wants to go wonky.
Hey everybody.
Hey buddy, I'm Ammon HIllman.
Let me just say this.
The more time I spend with these fucking so-called truthers, the more I'm convinced that you can absolutely judge a book by its cover. You can, if they have a lisp, if they're talking about esoteric things that only they've found, and then maybe one other thing. It's basically almost like a tic-tac-toe or bingo card of like checklists for these idiots.
It's just physiognomy, dude. You can just look at them and tell they're fucking dipshits.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take a cheap shot at you without telling you first I'm going to do it. And let me just say this. I'm not a biblical scholar. I didn't go to college. I went to fucking work when I turned 17 years old. And I worked 3 jobs and fucking started my own company. And I worked for a living. So I didn't get the privilege of sitting in classrooms my whole life. Nothing against you or your whole academic bunch of people, but a lot of us just went to fucking work, okay? So I don't have degrees.
I don't have time for this guy, but basically, EBT has the funniest comment on here. He says, this guy's right here, mocks Wes Huff for being a biblical scholar, praises Ammon HIllman for being a biblical scholar. That's what he says in the fucking video, the guy.
This is one notch above OTW doing the Yaku moment.
Like, yeah, okay. I guarantee OTW loves this Ammon HIllman, dude. I fucking guarantee it.
I wouldn't doubt it for a second.
Oh, 100%.
For sure.
I don't even need to fucking guess. He guarantee loves this motherfucker. This is Ammon HIllman is who the Sanity Machine wants to be, but I bet the Sanity Machine hates him just because he's jealous of his success. But he's like creepy, cringy, or creepy like edgelord, like, ooh, look at me.
Imagine
so
being Steve, still trying to sell fucking glitter pillows of his fucking artwork.
Yeah.
And acting like he's some sort of person that's gonna escape you from the hell realm. It's fucking retarded.
Insane, bro. All right, let me go back to this one. It's halfway done.
When she was alone with HIllman, he told NA that he was not going to touch her inappropriately, which she found strange.
What? We're alone. I'm not going to touch you inappropriately. Like, who says that?
That's not a normal. I mean, I don't know about anybody else out there.
Yeah, and imagine also saying it like incorrectly, impropriately. Like, this guy is obviously projecting. Something about him suggests that there's obviously skeletons in his closet as well.
Who, this guy here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the deflection about him, like I said, anytime there's somebody with a lisp or like trying to delve into this kind of stuff, like you always got to suspect them as also, if they're not being the target, they are projecting, in my opinion.
This guy here is like a biblical scholar as well. This guy that's talking.
Yeah, well, yeah, biblical scholar by whose definition at this point.
For whatever that's worth. Right?
Saying, I'm not going to touch you inappropriately is not something that you really ever need to say to anybody. That's assumed. Essentially what that means is either HIllman's just so awkward around women that he just can't think to know what to say. Like he was trying to be nice and he's like, I'm not going to touch you inappropriately. But the very fact that he was thinking about that makes you think like, oh, like, was he thinking of touching her inappropriately? What? So And then later it says, Hillman asked N.A. if she was a virgin. Okay, that's also really, really weird. That's not something that you ever need to ask anyone.
Obsessed with virgins, asking people if they're virgins. And then the play he wrote, Medea, A Virgin's Voice, he added that little subtitle.
Later, next, during one rehearsal where she had a migraine and left early, Hillman asked N.A. if she was on her period or starting it soon. That's asking for way too much information. Why would that ever be needed to know? That obviously wouldn't be needed to know. Then it says, he then told her that women that have migraines the first day of their period have more power. What? That's so silly. One, like, why would anybody ever think that's true? Two, that's super weird. Then Ammon says, he said that if his calculations were correct, N.A. would be the most sexually driven person on stage for opening. What?
And this is the guy that said, okay, Hillman says he got fired just because, like, oh, they didn't respect his freedom of speech for the play he wanted to put on. He completely glossed over all this fucking shit.
Does that mean anything? Hillman asked N.A. if she knew how beautiful she was. Once again, really odd thing to say. Another time, Hillman asked her if she was seeing anyone, and she admitted that she was talking with a guy. Hillman asked, who would dare to touch you? Who would dare to intervene on the space I have set aside for me? N.A. remembers this word for word because it was the same time he tried to talk to the muse through her. What a...
Bam! So I was on this comments of this video, and these people were like, oh, none of this is proven. These are just allegations. So in 2015, some students are saying he wants to talk to the muse through her. The same shit he talks about on his live streams and everything today, that he channels the muse. So fucking cringe. But this is proof that this shit's real. If you fucking dipshits don't understand that, I mean, you're fucking hopeless and lost.
Weird thing to do. So not only does Ammon apparently think that he somehow owns this woman, but he also tried to talk to the muse through her. It's just so odd. Like this is multiple women that have said, oh, this guy is super weird. He's saying all these weird things to me. Okay, so later on October 12th, 2015, N.A. emailed. So this is the...
We're going to see this guy, Ammon HIllman. You're going to see him on a Predator.
Okay, quick question.
He's going to go meet like a 14-year-old boy, and Dads Against Predators is going to beat him up.
Drew, do you think the majority of these women were probably just chakra wearing, sage smoking, new age bitches, or what? Because
are you talking about in this deposition thing or whatever?
Yeah,
or the people that watch his channel.
Like,
you mean?
Because like I didn't hear any sort of like age stuff, so I'm assuming that this is just people that this person has tried to groom because he's, you know, a new ager doing all the fucking chakra bullshit. But is there like a deeper shit to it, or is that a missing, or what?
I think they're just the actresses are students at the school, and he's a professor at the school.
Oh,
so he's in a position of power, a position of authority.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if it's at like, you know, a full blown like university level stuff, like this is, sorry, I missed part of it. I assumed this was more of an internet thing. This being a university.
No, yeah.
Oh yeah,
this is called St. Mary's University. So I'm from Minnesota. I know this place. It's down in Winona, Minnesota. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful part of Minnesota. It's amazing. And then yeah, that's where he was the professor in 2015. So I think he only served 1 year there or something, maybe 2 years until this came up. But that's why he's like, and he's the janitor, the maintenance man. That's why he's the maintenance man, though. He wants to be able to creep on this shit.
Does anybody have like information on how he would shift from a professor to a maintenance man? That's so weird to me.
In the earlier articles that I read, he claims, which he seems to be a fucking liar, that he says that for that he was teaching like Latin, and they were only paying for the teacher position. They were only paying $15,000 for the year, so he had to supplement his income with as a full-time janitor there as well.
Weird. It's so weird.
Who knows how true that is? But he wanted that janitor shit to begin putting like fucking cameras in there, doing some weird shit for sure. Fucking crazy.
The same girl, N.A., emailed Judy Myers, the director of media, to tell her that Hillman came to her dorm room door that weekend to talk about the play while he was doing maintenance in the dorm. Hillman likewise emailed Myers about the visit, telling Myers that he found young Medea in her dorm room alone for the weekend. Okay. In another email to Myers, Hillman told her to tell the rabbit, i.e. SL, that she is next. It's time to feed. What?
What?
A few days later, Hillman emailed Myers that he ran into the rabbit and was transfixed by her. He said that he said that he made SL sing for him, but he says he should not have done that because she reached inside him and took a little piece of his soul with her voice. So clearly, Ammon is fantasizing or.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile.
Damn
One
it,
of the
peasant
perks
YouTube.
about-
The taking the soul with the voice thing, it reminds me of fucking what's that? The mermaid movie, the Disney movie.
The mermaid, Little Mermaid.
Yeah, that I don't know. A lot of this feels fabricated.
You think it's a psyop?
I don't know how much of it is.
I mean,
Like,
this is
maybe
back in
only a
20. These are
fraction.
documents from 2015, though, and he's only just recently blown up, like in the last 6 months or something. He's been on YouTube for maybe 2 years. I don't really know exactly how long, but
So what do you think your thought is on how this whole controversy is blowing up, along with that other guy that's been blowing up controversy wise recently that you guys covered? I forget his name.
oh, Billy Carson, you talking about?
Yes, yeah. Do you
Billy
think there's
Carlton?
like a correlation between the two, or is it just everything's blowing up at this point?
Well, maybe these people just are mocking Jesus and they're getting what they deserve, maybe.
Yeah, just desserts is fine by me.
Right? I don't know. But it's like a genre, though. I think, like, expose a motherfucker, right? Like, people like the drama more than even like the shit that these people say in the streams and shit.
Weird idea of what his relationship with these people are. Apparently, he doesn't have any boundaries. In a separate email about that singing incident,
That's it. Yeah, he's a boundary pusher constantly, even from that 2008 interview that I read.
Hillman describes SL as being antsy and fidgeting, almost scared. Hillman asked Myers if she knew why SL was frightened. His email answered his own question by saying that SL tried to dart away, but Hillman held her with his gaze. He forced her to sing into his ear. He closed his eyes, and she sang into the depths of his soul. And suddenly, her face transformed into something beyond human. SL told Hillman that she had to go, but according to Hillman, he told her that she was the rabbit and Pan, i.e. Hillman, was stalking her. So apparently, Ammon HIllman, admitted to stalking her. That's not ever something you should say to anybody, even if you are stalking someone. As SL left, Hillman told her that he would be watching her. He would be watching her. Yeah, that's what you should tell people. That's really, really great there. She literally ran away, and suddenly I was alive. Later, in her deposition, Myers conceded that Hillman's conduct with SL was stalking, both under St. Mary's sexual harassment policy and under any classic definition of stalking. So, of course, Judy Myers is the person that was like on his side this whole time, but she even said, "Hey, yeah, that's definitely stalking." Hillman conceded that he told students involved with the play to whip him on several occasions. Super weird. Hillman did not limit his sexual or otherwise inappropriate interactions with students to females. What?
Hey, hold on.
In
Pause,
September of
real quick.
2015.
Why are people agreeing to whip this person? And what the how is that?
They're
just
weird ass theater kids, bro. They're just weird young theater
just
kids.
freaks?
And
Okay.
this guy himself is probably a weird ass theater edgelord.
That's what I'm feeling like,
Cringe lord.
because like, how do you just like read that and not have like a second thought about it too? Like something about just, him glazing over it. I don't know.
So, I mean, I don't fucking know, dude. These people are weird ass Minnesota liberals. He's a Minnesota liberal professor. Fucking nutcase, bro. Trump derangement syndrome, bad. He was talking so much shit about when Trump won the election.
In September of 2015, he exchanged a series of emails with a male student, CD, asking him,
A male student now. Now he's creeping on a male student.
if you were to like the feel of a lady's silky negligee, would you prefer a garter or a choker? When the student said he would prefer the choker, Hillman asked him leather with studs or a frilly domestic lace. Eventually, tying it to the play, Hillman told the student, "Let me see you in your finest lace." The student said that he was taking Hillman literally.
And you see the guy dresses up in a fucking lacy ass.
That's fucking wild.
He thinks he's Daenerys Targaryen,
You must think it.
the queen of fucking chasing the dragons.
Queen of the Dragons. Yeah, this is gonna be the people who liberate America. These are the people who are gonna stop the Trump tards right here. This is the war that we're watching.
Yeah, yeah, right. These motherfucking three guys pulling up in the fucking blonde wigs and lace.
Get smoked, retards.
Right. Probably hates guns.
That's pretty creepy. So this is the defendant's memorandum in support of motion for summary judgment. And in this it says, regardless of the existence of a privilege to protect comments made in response to media inquiries, truth is a complete defense to a defamation claim. Despite his protestations to the contrary and his incessant attempt to shift the reason for his determination to free speech over play props, Hillman did sexually harass students and commit Hillman did sexually harass students and commit misconduct. Hillman
Okay, this is a prepared video. Edit the video, dude. Like, edit that shit out, bro. Come on.
admitted in writing that he stalked a Hillman admitted in writing that he stalked a St. Mary student, scaring her. Hillman admitted in writing and during an investigative interview that he twice went to a student's dorm room. Hillman sent emails to a St. Mary's student asking about sexual lingerie. There is simply no credible basis for Hillman to now claim that he did not commit misconduct and did not sexually harass students. Therefore, truth is a complete defense to Hillman's claims against St. Mary's. Later, Hillman brought defamation claims for statements made more than 2 years before he commenced suit for statements of
Yeah, so he gets fired for the shit, and then he tries to sue the school.
opinion rather than fact, for
The
statements
nerve of these
protected by
motherfuckers.
investigative privilege and for true statements. Thus, his claims are time barred or insufficient as a matter of law. Ultimately, Hillman was terminated because he sexually harassed students at St. Mary's, and the truth of his harassment precludes his defamation claims. St. Mary's and Sharon asked for a summary judgment. So there you have it. He was not fired for some silly little prop on a stage. He was not fired for portals, supposedly. Ammon HIllman, the person we're looking at right here, was fired for sexual misconduct. Now, hypothetically, okay, you might want to say, oh, well, maybe it was partially this other stuff, okay? But guess what? Okay, maybe you can make that a case that might have been part of it, but there's no doubt about it. If this is all Ammon did was all these stalking and saying these super weird things to women and talking about lingerie with a man, well, guess what? Yeah, that's definitely fireworthy, okay? There's no doubt about it. Like, that was completely justified. So you might be thinking, wow, this is a lot of crazy, wild stuff. Surely the hole doesn't get deeper. Well, it does. Let's keep going. So let's talk about the portals, right? People have heard about the portals. What did the court document say? So
yeah, this is his big claim when he was on that million view podcast that he was opening portals and the Vatican investigated him and shit.
Why is it always with these fucking allegations of this kind and portals? Like, every single time, you can even just, get it off to like the OTO or like the Freemasons version of, Kiss the Ring, which is actually the brown hole. And like, all these people always turn it into this insane shit. Like, the reason that I think that this guy is personally obsessed with like this part and especially obsessing over it being the religious part, this is something that I find interesting, because if he were to actually direct his energy towards like public schools, he could probably find 1,000,000 times more stories on this versus like the religious side. And I'm not discrediting the fact that this may have happened, whatever, but I find it always interesting that these people always do this weird like portal opening esoteric stuff, and they ignore the whole side of the education system ruining kids even more so than these ones and twos types of level of religious characters that sometimes sneak through the Catholic side or the whatever side of stuff.
Okay, I have no idea what you just said. Sorry. Okay, you're saying this guy's obsessed with it, the presenter of this video, or this Ammon
Yes,
Hillman
I'm saying
guy?
that he is. Yeah, no.
Okay, I think he's just obsessed with Ammon Hillman. He has like fucking like 10 videos in a row about him or something like that.
Okay,
So
because it seems like they're always obsessed
and
with.
well, he was obsessed with Billy Carson too when that was going on. I think it's just like an algorithm thing, and he's in there just trying to get in on that algo. I'm guilty too. I'm guilty. Yeah. You guys want to click that link? Anyone else got anything they want to say about Mr. David Hillman? Dead name David. Let me finish this video. It's got like 2 minutes left. 2 minutes.
It says at least 2 meetings were held at Immaculate Heart of Mary Seminary on the campus of St. Mary's University of Minnesota, in which Dr. Hillman, not present, was accused of practicing paganism, of performing magic, and of being demon possessed. Parents of students were present making allegations. Bishop John Quinn and Vicar General Thomas Melvin were both present. Bishop Quinn presided. Bishop Quinn advised parents that the allegations against Hillman were unfounded and reassured them that Hillman was not using magic to open a portal to the underworld in order to bring demons into this realm to bring harm to students via the powers of Satan. Thomas Melvin assured students Hillman was not possessed and could not open transdimensional portals. Now, you might think to yourself, well, duh, right? Of course he can't do that. Well, apparently, some of these parents were spooked about rumors that were going on. So Ammon, when he goes on these talk shows, he gives the impression that, oh, I was fired for opening portals. But as you can tell, even in the court documents, some of these top leaders are publicly saying, hey, yeah, no, we don't think like he's opening portals. It was just the parents. So obviously the parents don't have any control over who would be fired or not. Now you might say, oh, well, he's causing a lot of drama for the school. Like, oh, we want to get rid of him for that. And like that might have played a small impact. But no, like obviously sexual misconduct on its own is plenty enough to get someone fired. And clearly that.
Right. And it even says, I don't know if it's this one or a different one I read where it said like an anonymous person called and said he was opening these portals. It's probably him calling himself. He is calling the school himself to give himself that clout that he's opening portals.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you build up a meme, right? You build it yourself.
He's just trying to like give himself that clout that he's opening portals.
Played a big impact on what happened. So why did Ammon get fired? He got fired for sexual misconduct. That's pretty much it. Maybe other things played an effect, but no, like that's pretty much it. Okay. So like this is plenty of reason to fire someone. This had to be the reason. Any other explanation doesn't really make any sense with what we have and the information, the data. So yes. So if Ammon says, hey, I got fired for free speech and all this other stuff, you can just go ahead and call him out because.
Yeah, he's full of shit. And when I was in these comments earlier, they're like, well, this was just allegations. There was no police report. Well, dipshit, he's out there being a creep. Obviously, the guy's obsessed with talking about dicks and fucking drugs and all that shit. He's a weird motherfucking dude. Always trying to make people feel uncomfortable.
Anybody out to try and expose stuff is, a partial weirdo in themselves. Like that was just, I need to harken back to the OTW Yakub meme. Cause like everything about this streamer trying to like have this opening screams that it's like a partial truth. Like obviously there's weirdos out there that this guy probably exposed, but I have no doubt in my mind that the host himself is a fucking weirdo because these people, when they get upset,
you're more obsessed with the host. You're more into the host.
Yeah, well, get to the meta point, right? Like because like what's the old phrase? Small minds talk about people, bigger minds talk about concepts, whatever.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But then the next iteration up on that is that you're talking about the guy's character. The guy makes the claim that he's the only person ever to find this, and then you
right
have to talk about who is this guy. He has poor character. Even in that 2008 article, what he was saying wasn't jiving with his academic superiors. What he said, they said wasn't true.
Right.
Even that's 7 years before this St. Mary's College incident, and now here we are again, another 7-8 years later or whatever. 7 years later after that, now he's on YouTube getting caught up in the same kind of lies. So
that's a solid point. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy said you've shared multiple videos which debunk Ammon's claims and show him to be a person of highly questionable character. On the other hand, Ammon cultaholics have said no. Oh, so I'm that's literally their argument. Like, nope.
Shout out to Archaics fanboys doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. My wife had a screenshot, man. I wish I had it right now. And she was like arguing with people in his chat, and it was like some lady wrote like, "He's not a cult leader. All cult leaders are sexual perverts. I've been in many." Well, then it was worse, bro. She writes, "I've been in many cults. I should know." So these people are highly groomable, dude. They're so groomable. These are fucking adults, bro.
It's embarrassing. She
like
basically
this fucking guy right
exposed herself at that point.
Yeah.
Like, it's
This
so
guy's
insane.
getting groomed by this fucking sexual pervert dipshit. And he's like, "Oh, I need every scholar and intellectual in the world to debate this guy so we can get to the bottom of this," because
and all that nonsense. But I do have a fucking PhD in life and experience. And that is my teacher, not some fucking textbook. When we go to I'm just going to interject this here. When we have life teaches us. And I'll get into that more in a moment, what truth is, who she is. But that's my instructor is life and experience. I'm not a theorist. I'm a practitioner. This is the way it works. Up, you're gonna lie about someone, then you fucking step in the arena and you debate the man. Okay? Don't you fucking run it.
Just full Gish Gallop.
You know why you won't debate because he'll wipe the fucking floor with your ass.
He's talking about like biblical scholars not being able to debate him because Ammon will just wipe the floor with their ass.
Right.
Ammon's a fucking liar, fucking sexual predator pervert. Gotta be a junkie. Looks like a junkie.
I gotta drop out because Mindful was talking about portals, so I gotta take care of that. So
all right, my bro.
All right, take care, brother.
Appreciate you. Have a good night. All right, bro. I dropped that link if anyone else wants to jump up. Otherwise, I might not be on too much longer here. Still got work in the morning. I'll drop it one more time. Play through this guy. So this is the guy that's this is one of his basic simps. So it's guys that wear wigs and negligee, and this fucking dipshit right here. And I don't know if he's even got top teeth or not.
It's amazing that all you scholar dudes out here are basing all this shit on these texts that were written in a language you don't even fucking understand. But the master of the language, you're going to tell him he doesn't know what he's talking about.
The master of the language. And that's his other claim, is that he claims the Bible was written in Greek and then later translated into Hebrew, which no one else makes that claim.
That shit is not...
He has nothing to back that up with.
That would be like me going into, let's just say this. I've got second with Gracie and Mai Tai. Mr. Davis, you, Mr. McClellan, and achievements and shit. But you're missing out on the fucking most important point of all of this. And this proves that you're all full of shit and that you're all fucking psychopaths. Because what's really at stake here is the boy in the garden in Mark 14, 51 and 52. And why is a prepubescent boy on my East Coast is naked in a fucking cemetery at 4 a.m. with a 33-year-old man? A 33-year-old man who's also fucking naked, and he's got a medical.
Let me ask you this, Big Z: why is a 37-year-old college professor lurking in the rooms of college girls and making college girls feel uncomfortable and saying crazy shit to him like that? Isn't it crazy how, like, yeah, that's what our pastor says, is like what's in your heart is what will come out of your heart. So Ammon obviously has dicks and sex and perversion and shit in his heart. That's what comes out. And another guy I was talking to a little while ago, he was saying, the Bible's like it's like a mirror. When you read it and stuff, it's going to reveal yourself to you and stuff like that. And that, so when Ammon reads the Bible, it's all about a child predator and trafficking kids and drugs. Fucking pretty interesting, right?
Dedicated wrap, a scene dome wrapped around his genitalia. What the fuck is going on here? Stop everything.
Okay, this guy in the comments said he's a 40-year Christian. He's been in the church for 40 years. So then all it took was this one video from this guy. You see how easily groomable these motherfuckers are? You sit and wonder, like, how does something like Heaven's Gate happen? How is that possible? They say a fucking spaceship's coming to pick us up. We got to drink this poison so we can go up. How could people fucking believe that shit? Well, it's dipshits like this. Very easily. I just want to know, like, what's their defect that they're so easily groomable. So if you are one of these Ammon HIllman simps, look at this is your peer right here. Those other two ladies we showed on the last one is old fucking simps, the two guys in the dresses and shit. You're not sending your best, David HIllman.
We got to get to the bottom of this, but you don't want to do that. You're more concerned about, oh, this could scandalize Christianity. This could hurt the church.
And these dipshits think like people don't even consider these things. Like scholars won't, do this because what he's saying, it could cause damage. And they're gonna censor things like this that would be controversial. Of course, people consider things like that. They're just really unfounded and based on fucking nothing. Yeah, WhatsApp says there's lots of cults of personality in this crazy world, and people get people to believe the craziest things. Yeah, that's Ammon for sure. A cult of personality. He's got such a weird fucking personality too. That's why I don't get who would even fucking like fall for this shit. It's so goofy and fucking silly.
It's funny because
they just hate Christ is really ultimately what it is. They just need anyone that justifies that. Just like a motherfucker that believes in UFOs, they'll take any UFO video and they'll believe it. A Bigfoot person, they'll believe any Bigfoot video because they want to believe in Bigfoot. These people want to hate on Christ. They find this guy super blaspheming Christ and it fucking arouses them.
that's just what that man in the garden said. You're going to scandalize me. And nobody is concerned about what happened to the little boy. Why was he there? Is he okay? See, because what you don't get, you fucking assholes, is that little boy represents all the little boys today that are in those churches going through the temptations of fire and being abused by these pastors. That's who that little boy is. And if we fucking need the responsibility to get to the bottom of this. And if he is the perpetrator and the progenitor.
So he hears a message from this guy right here, and it just changes his whole life.
So all you give a flying fuck about is your academic achievements and whatever fucking scam it is that you've got going on.
Fucking Spurgeon. What's up, my guy? We got toilet boilers from the house. Everyone go subscribe.
Yo, what's up, man?
What's up, dog?
Chilling, man. I can't stay long, man. I've been swamped lately. I finally got that.
Shut it down pretty soon anyway. But what do you think about this dipshit? Not this guy, but Ammon, David HIllman.
Oh man, when I first saw that interview with that Danny guy, after like 10 minutes, I just clicked off. It was just bold, ridiculous claims. I immediately, my discernment kicked in. I was like, nope, waste of time. So you're telling me, Jesus was doing all this stuff, and then all of his followers and everybody else, just no one ever said a single word about it afterwards. No one, not one shred of anybody speaking about this.
No one, dude. Not even the authorities at the time that wanted to shut him up. None of that. They didn't even say it.
No, yeah. Absolute trash, dude.
Just a squeaker 2,000 years later.
And it's like, I think like people when you have somebody like Ammon come along, there are people that are just ready to hear it because they're just so in their own delusions. They need someone like HIllman to give them that little extra push. You know what I mean? Someone with an accreditation, their PhD, something that'll like validate like what they're already like cognitively like biased against, which is basically Christians. And it's just and in this regard, people like Archaics and Ammon, they're like these supposedly super educated people. This like drives the delusion even more further into the ground. It gets really rooted, and it really validates them because it's like, see, this really smart guy, he's saying all this stuff. I've always thought that,
Yeah, it resonates with me.
it resonates with me. It's just like these people they've already had the spirit of the reprobate mind. They just need a little bit of content and a little bit of far-fetched weird things. Like, I mean, how how could you just like this guy really just sat around and thought about that? He sat around and thought about creepy thing like Jesus, like melting children into adrenochrome or drugs. Like, it takes an incredibly debased mind to come up with an incredibly debased theory. So
Yeah, and the same people though that cite him as a PhD, and that's the reason why it should be credible. They're the same people that will be like, "Oh, PhD, NASA's fake and all this shit."
right,
PhDs
exactly.
are fucking covering for NASA and all this shit.
So like appeal to authority, it's a really oscillating thing, or it's
Yeah,
like
the
it
authorities
really
are all
depends.
bullshit until they say what I want them to say, and then all of a sudden that authority is credible.
Right. So, well, what do you expect? This is a thing that's been going on forever since Christ died and resurrected. Man, it's never gonna end. These types of tricksters and deceivers are always going to be around until Christ returns. So,
Well, we're gonna rebuke this motherfucker. We rebuke you.
yes, that's right.
David, we rebuke you in the name
Let
of
God
Jesus.
arise and his enemies be scattered.
That's right. You are hereby rebuked.
Yeah. Praise Jesus. Anyway, man, I got to get out of here, man. But great show, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah, I'll probably shut it down too. I got to work early in the morning. So appreciate you. Appreciate everyone that was here. Stephen, David. I dropped the link. Let me put it one more time in the chat of the video that we watched that shows us crimes. Now, actually, I shouldn't say crimes. They're not crimes. The allegations made against him. You got somebody in his cult. Send them my video. Don't send them this fucking other guy's video. Send my motherfucking video. I was gonna make that guy's exact video, but then he released it, so decided to do the call-in show about it. And yeah, man, thanks again to everyone that was here. I might do a whole week on this. This guy just needs to be fucking stomped into the ground. Maybe we'll do a whole week of LARP week. Not Shark Week, it's LARP week. Fucking push Ammon HIllman shit in. Let me play this guy just for another couple minutes. Find us an outro song. Oh, hold on. We got Mr. Smith in the house. What's good, Mr. Smith? Or maybe not. Play this guy then for a couple minutes. Find us an outro song. And we good.
Some of us who came into this world didn't come in here to build this place up. We didn't come in here to save this world. We came in here to tear this fucking thing apart. We came in here to expose the evil going on and who's doing it. And I'll say this, if you guys are really biblical scholars in the ancient Hebrew, whatever you call it, and you actually could read as I did this past year for the first time, it's shamefully embarrassing that I spent my entire life as a Christian from age 22 until a few years ago and never really read the Bible. I was like a Jefferson type, a Thomas Jefferson Christian, where I just read the Gospels and, the parables. That was good. Read Proverbs, and that's basically it. I had no interest in any other shit in there because it didn't apply to me. It's all Jewish people until you go back and you read it. And the thing that it took me less than 2 days to realize this fucking dude that they call Jehovah Yahweh is a fucking piece of shit, psychopath, child trafficking, war criminal. I don't think he's even a god. I think he was just a literal flesh and blood fucking
Wow, his whole life being Christian this is why another interesting thing to talk about, in my opinion, is is the idea of free speech. We've been born and raised and brought through the public school system to say that, you know, everyone should have the right to say whatever they want. And to some extent, I agree with that. But when you get into shit like this, look at this guy. Look at how confused this guy got off of one video, or maybe not one video, but, you know, one guy was able to mislead this guy so easily. He's so groomable. It's like for his own good. He shouldn't even be exposed to this shit. Should this guy be allowed to even post, have such blasphemous imagery on here? I mean, to me, it's like so cringe because it's AI. That makes it even, it's not even like doesn't like hurt my feelings or anything, because it's just the cringe of the AI even outshines what he's trying to portray as. Like, he's trying to make you feel some kind of like, you know, shame or whatever, like he's shitting on your religion or something. All I see is super cringe and bad AI. Like, that's outshining what he's trying to do, in my opinion. But do these people even should everyone have the right to say whatever you want? Because when you don't have that, though, then you get into a lot easier ways for governments to control people, and tyranny can run a lot more rampant, I think. But I've never really explored the other side of that people don't have the right to. I guess ultimately they don't, because this guy's the world's gonna drop on this guy's head pretty soon. It seems like it's already happening because he's at war with Christ, and it's a war he can't win. So he can do it, right? He can do it, but it's just not gonna end good for him. What if you got any comments about that? If you'd like to comment on that, or your thoughts on like freedom of speech, what do you think and stuff? We rebuke you, Ammon HIllman. You are of your father the devil, and you will burn in the pits of hell. Thank you, everyone that was here. I'll probably be back, maybe even tomorrow night, but sooner than later. And peace out.
Coming from the reservoirs, I'm an animal who transforms into a man of war like animorphs. I'm headed towards another metamorphosis. Half past insane, I'll splatter your brains, then scatter the remains. When I'm rapping on stage, sound waves make the ground shake and rattle your cage as the whole crowd rage. Throw you to the hounds to devour your face. You're looking at me sour as I'm making power plays every second, every minute, every hour of the day. Fuck a naysayer, hit him with a haymaker that will leave your top spinning like a Beyblader. I hop on the track and straight up display hatred with great aim.
Except Beyblader, damn.
A hungry alligator, the pain bringer, crushing shit like grave digger. I'm a straight sicko like Frank Rizzo, giving snakes a set of wings like the strange symbol. Red-eyed rebel with the dead eye, letting lead fly from the Tech 9 till the devil that I said hi. Coming from the reservoirs, I'm an animal who transforms.
I just randomly picked this because it's an Animorphs rap. This guy has some kind of funny bars, but funny that's like some horrorcore shit. And that's what this guy reminds me of, Hillman. He's just trying to be like a horrorcore podcaster. That's literally what it is.
Son of a bitch, I'm a son of a mothership. Right under my ribcage, I got the bird skeletons, walking dead with cadaver dogs that got my scent. Not impressed, a basket case of rotten eggs. Give you props to above the body you wanna next. Didn't heed the fire gang, it lost my head. Take over the world and never leave the booth. Open your mouth, get it stretched out like Beetlejuice. Stalled on the scenic route of all evil. On your block, creeping through the stock people. Brain like a machine, wired with cybernetics. You make it rain by a breathless tip with ice and pellets. Rhymes are endless, just I find pathetic. Quit while you're behind, sympathize and dead it. Coming from the
PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, get chalked up. Appreciate everyone that was here. Smiley's asking for a link. I don't have a link for the donations, but it's just PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. The name on all of them is Get Chalked Up. I'll see if I can work on getting a link. I think PayPal and Venmo I can. Appreciate you guys. Peace.